Hello, my name is Dr. Artika Tyner. I'm the author of the book, Justice Makes a Difference, the story of Miss Freedom Fighter Esquire. I'm excited to share with you the book that explores the journey of a young girl named Justice, who's only 8 years old, but learns very quickly that she can make a difference in her community and make a difference in the world. And she goes on a learning journey to learn about other civil rights heroes and sheroes. And for me, to learn a little bit about my background, I'm a civil rights attorney. And what does that mean? It means that each day I work hard to ensure that everyone has access to their voices being heard and their rights being protected. It's about that powerful word called justice. Justice is about the experience of each and every one of us to make sure that the law, so I'm also, of course, a lawyer and a law professor as well, so I teach students about the law, that the law and the policies that govern our day-to-day lives are something that we make sure it's about fairness, it's about equity, and it's about inclusion. So we think about those pillars of justice, and you'll also learn about a special friend that Justice has. Her cat's name is, do you want to guess? Her cat's name is Freedom. So Justice and Freedom go on this learning journey to learn about heroes and sheroes like Charles Hamilton Houston, a pioneering civil rights attorney who helped to create and lay the groundwork for the case that we know today as Brown versus Board of Education that ended segregation in schools to make sure that Black children had equal access to education, but more importantly, to change the landscape of America, to make equal justice come alive. So that means no matter where you come from, no matter what background you have or the color of your skin, that you have access to some of those basic rights, whether it's related to having access to a quality education, having access to quality healthcare. Charles Hamilton Houston worked day after day after day to ensure that the African American community could have those two things that I've already introduced, those two words of justice and freedom. So the book is an opportunity for you to go on a learning journey. Not only does Justice learn about Charles Hamilton Houston, she also learns about Ida B. Wells, a pioneering journalist who makes a decision to write for justice, pen and paper in hand, making sure that she was telling the stories of the lived experience of people. And with telling stories, she was really creating and cultivating people power, that people would get organized to transform systems to ensure that, let's hear that word again, that justice can come alive. She also learned about Paul Robeson. Now, Paul Robeson was a modern day Renaissance man. In fact, he spoke dozens of languages. He also had the possibility of singing out with his voice. So if you get a chance, please make sure you hear him sing the song, Motherless Child. When you hear his deep baritone voice, you get a sense of what his purpose in life's mission was, to sing for justice. So you got a chance to learn about Paul Robeson and his leadership journey as well. In addition, you'll learn about Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm's motto or mantra was unbought and unbossed, because she had an important role to play, to be the voice of the people and take a stand for justice. So she dared to do something quite bold in many ways. One, as a woman, and secondly, as a person of color, she knew that there were no limitations to her dreams. So she decided to run for the nation's highest office. She ran to become president of the United States. So Shirley Chisholm gives us a sense that we all can also stand for justice, that she would be the voice of the people, ensuring that communities got the resources that they needed to make sure children had access to quality education, healthcare, all those pieces. What made her a candidate for the people. And last but not least, I want to introduce you to Ella Baker. Ella Baker was known as Fundi in Swahili, giving a sense then that she was inspiring the young people of the civil rights movement to get organized, from everything from taking a stand against racial segregation to also ensuring that they were doing something very important, helping to prepare folks to vote and register to vote so they could cast their ballot. So here you're hearing stories about quite a few people, those heroes and sheroes, that made a decision and looked in their hands to make a determination of what's in their hands to make a difference in the world. And I hope that you will do the same. And that's why I wrote the book. I wanted to inspire. people, no matter your age, no matter where you come from, that you can tap into that passion inside and you can be impactful and you can make a difference. So let's hear a little bit about Justice's journey. Are you ready? So once again, the name of the book is Justice Makes a Difference, the story of Miss Freedom Fighter Esquire. So this book is dedicated to the loving memory of my own grandmothers, of Ruth, Nellie, Rosie, and Nadine, who taught us the importance of love, leadership, and service. So you'll notice something right away. You'll notice that you might see a bit of a likeness. I wrote this book to also give a special thank you to my late grandmother, thanking her for every moment that she encouraged me to learn, to read, to explore the world and become a global citizen. So this book is dedicated to the loving memory in particular of my grandma Nellie. So if you look a little closer, let's see if you can see any familiar faces. So you see then the grandmother, she looks just like my grandma Nellie. And young Justice is actually from the image from my Citizen of the Week photo from first grade. So you get a chance and get a glimpse into my own experience as a young girl being inspired by my grandmother. So let's listen in. Justice's favorite place to visit was her grandma's house. Grandma always greeted her with the biggest, warmest hug. Grandma always made Justice feel important. The best part of Grandma's house was her den full of books. Justice and Grandma would spend hours together in the den, talking and reading. Your name is your destiny. Grandma had been telling Justice since the day she was born. Grandma reminded her often that being named Justice came with great responsibility. To whom much is given, much is accounted for. Grandma always said. Justice might not have understood all of the words that Grandma said, but she understood that she was meant to serve and lead in her community. And if you look a little closer, remember I told you about Justice's favorite furry friend? Can you find her cat Freedom? And what's your favorite book to read? What do you enjoy learning about? Because you can see very early that Grandma introduces Justice to a love of reading. So here it is. Here's an example of Grandma serving in the community and inspiring young Justice to make a difference. One day, when Justice was visiting, Grandma asked, "What is in your hands to make a difference in the world?" "What can I do?" Justice wondered. "I'm only 8 years old. How can I make a difference?" Grandma served in the church. She fed the hungry, sheltered the homeless, clothed those in need, and visited the sick. Grandma described this as living out her faith. Justice wanted to be like her grandma. She wanted to know how she could live out her faith. So you see here, Justice and Grandma, one of the ways that they are making a difference, they're serving in their community. So next, I'd like to introduce a special character that I didn't talk about, but one of those sheroes that we highlight in the book. So I'm going to take you all the way from here in Minnesota to the continent of Africa. And we're going to meet someone very special. So here it is. Let's join in. Sometimes when Justice visited, she helped Grandma in the garden. Justice loved the way the warm earth felt under her feet. She was amazed by how the tiniest seed could become a big vine full of juicy red tomatoes or a tall forest of okra plants. Grandma would sing while they worked and Justice would hum along. Their music served as the rhythm for their digging and planting. Planting a garden was hard work, and it gave Justice a lot of time to daydream. She fantasized about what it would be like to travel around the globe. "What's the most exotic place you've ever traveled to, Grandma?" Justice asked dreamily. Grandma chuckled. "I haven't been much outside St. Paul, honey," Grandma said, "but I traveled all over the world." Notice this, through books. This made Justice happy because she loved to travel through books too. So have you ever planted a garden? And if you have, what are some of the things that you planted? For me, of course, in our garden, we do have those tomato plants. And also, I look forward to growing okra. In the meantime, we grow cucumbers, zucchinis, peppers, and I love fresh basil, so we grow basil as well. So let's learn about that special shiro that I was telling you about. After they were finished in the garden, Grandma gave Justice a book about a woman in a faraway land. Happy traveling, Grandma said. Justice read all about the country Kenya and the work of Dr. Wangari Maathai. Dr. Maathai was a global leader. She organized the Green Belt movement with the hopes of restoring trees in her home country, Kenya. She sought to restore the beauty of nature and uplift the close-knit community. She began by organizing mothers, daughters, and grandmothers to take action by planting one seedling at a time. And I'll pause here. By planting one seed, notice what she was able to do. By starting with one vision, by working with a team, and making a determination to make a difference. Tune in and find out what happens. More than 51 million trees were planted. Now I'll say that again. So from one seedling to more than 51 trees being planted. Justice had an idea. Grandma, can we bring the community together like Dr. Wangari Maathai and start a community garden? Grandma smiled her proudest smile. I think that's a wonderful idea. Should we invite others to help? Yes, Justice said. We can grow fruits and vegetables. Maybe we can ask our neighbors to help us. So you get an image of young Justice helping to build a community garden. So I hope that you've enjoyed the journey of learning more about how Justice makes a determination that she can make a difference. I hope it also inspires you to make a difference in the world. That truly change starts with you and I. You and I, whether it's in small ways, setting up and organizing a food drive, maybe it's tutoring a younger student to teach some of the skills that you've learned. No matter what it is, it's making a determination that we will make the world a better place. And that starts with all of us collectively. So I thank you because I know that you will embark on this leadership challenge with us to rise to the occasion to make the world a better place. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.